What's up, guys? So, a lot of people have been requesting videos on the Fibonacci series, and I can understand because it's a pretty daunting thing to start off with. It doesn't just come to you generally. You have to think a bit about it. So, first, I'm gonna tell you what the Fibonacci series is, and I'll give you the first few Fibon numbers, and then I'm gonna go through with you how to code it. I won't give you the whole solution because that would be pretty silly thing to do, but I'm gonna give you enough hints so that you can figure it out on your own, and from then on you can post your approach in the comments, and I can tell you where you're going wrong or where you should think differently. So the Fibonacci series starts off like this: 0, 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21, dot dot dot, and so on. Now you can figure out very simply that every third term is the sum of the previous two. It's pretty obvious, that relation. So here 1 is 1 plus 0, 2 is 1 plus 1, 3 is 1 plus 2, 8 is 5 plus 3, and so on. So essentially that is the Fibonacci series. Now, how do you go about printing this in a program? Essentially, you should use three variables. Let's say T1, T2, and T3. Now, out here, what is the first T1? T1 initially is 0 and T2 initially is 1. And what is T3? T3 is T1 plus T2. Now, depending on how many numbers you want to generate, let's say you want the first 100 Fibonacci numbers. I don't advise you to try that out because I think Fibonacci numbers get big really fast. So the 100th Fibonacci number will be a pretty big number. It might might take a lot of time to compile and to run. So, but if you want to repeat something, what do we use when we want to repeat something? We use a loop. We always use a loop when we want to repeat something. Say a while loop or a for loop, whatever it is that you want, but we always use a loop when we want to repeat something. So essentially, even this time you use a loop. Let's say you loop 15 or 20 times. You have a for loop that goes 20 times, and inside that for loop you have T3 set to T1 plus T2, because this is essentially the important term, right? The third term is the sum of the first two, and there you can, let's say you can print out your T3 inside your loop. Once you print out T3, you need to observe, you need to make a few observations over here. What's happening if this is T3 and this is T2? Let me just label it here, and this is T3 and this is T1. What happens to T2 and T1? Well, for the next number, for 2, For this number, this becomes T3, this becomes T2, and this becomes T1. So essentially T2 has shifted one place ahead. So T2 is equal to T3 because the old value of T3 comes in the new value of T2, and then T1 has got the old value of T2. So T1 is equal to T2. But if you did this is a misconception that people have. If you did this, you would not get your output. Now, if you think about this, you see obviously you won't get your output because you already set T2 equal to T3. So you're just setting T1 equal to T3 again. So this is wrong. Wrong. Don't do that. What you do instead is you set T1 equal to T2 first and T2 equal to T3, and this is where your loop ends. If you try running this code, I haven't given you the code, but I've given you an explanation. If you try writing your code yourself and running it, then you should get your output, and it will run from 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21, and so on. If you want to print these first two numbers, you can print it outside the loop with two individual statements like this, T1 and another one for T2. So that's it for this video. It's a